welcome everyone and welcome Megan. It's great to have you with us, and I hope you're enjoying your time with us and that you end up becoming a full-fledged member of the Oblates of Perpetual Light. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to ask. And of course, Father Mike, we all go to him when we need stuff too. So anyway, I just wanted to remind everyone that this show this meeting is being recorded, and it's only the audio that's going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So that way, those members who are unable to attend can listen to the audio and at least get what we were doing in the meeting. Because a lot of times our meetings turn into podcast material, which is really good discussion stuff, which would be a shame for anybody to miss. And we're not just tooting our own horns on that. So business, we unexpectedly lost a member, but we've gained a member in Megan. So again, welcome, Megan. Welcome to our little family. Just want to remind everybody to please invite people to join the group and join the Facebook group, promote and share the website. Anybody and everybody's welcome to these meetings. They don't have to be a member. If they want to check us out or just want to see what it's about, feel free to invite anyone that you want to share the link to the meeting with. Oh, I hear a little one.
Oh yeah, you'll hear them all at some point.
So again, please feel free to post on our Facebook group. Again, many thanks to Father Mike and Haven for discussions that they've been doing lately. So yeah, I mean, just post anything that you can think of that might be a good topic of discussion, conversation, just to get communion going amongst us so we can all get to know each other more, because all of us are representing different faiths, different beliefs, so much different, which is awesome that we have so much diversity, within our group. Other groups don't have that, and other groups actually refuse to have that, which is utterly ridiculous. But anyway, again, feel free to get involved with the group. So that's it for business. I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. We do have 40 minutes available on this Zoom room. If we go over that and you guys want to continue, we have another room set up. I put another link in the Facebook group. If you guys want to move over to that after this, if you want to continue discussing whatever, you're more than welcome to.
Awesome.
So who wants to go first? You want to go first, Father Mike?
Sure, I can go first. So I have been working on Logic in the Bible season 2. I have some scripts written. I got the YouTube channel all set up and everything for to put it up on YouTube.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because
I'm sure YouTube is set up.
Well, I mean, you just passed 2 years from your season 1 finale where you said how
I
okay.
Funny enough,
you've broke my heart so many times. I just keep
There and Back Again has over 1,000 listens. I'm like, I should just keep it for another year.
Yeah, why not?
I evidently have over 5,000 listens on the podcast
awesome.
audio now. And
I have given him so much crap for edging us with season 2 is coming, and then nothing else since then.
Yeah, it's been 2 years this month. 2 years. We've been waiting.
Yeah. Well, so season 2, I've made a commitment with myself. Season 2 is coming out this month, so it may be the last minute of the month, but it's coming out this month.
June or July?
June.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is, I have to convert the audio to a video format, and then re-record the introduction and stuff like that. So it's not that much that needs to be done. I was starting to get actually overwhelmed with the thought of converting all of season 1 to video and trying to get that uploaded too. But I decided I just need to start with season 2 and then I'll upload season 1 as I'm able to.
So it's just going to be on YouTube only, or is it going to be on YouTube and Spotify?
It will still be an audio podcast also.
Okay.
It will also be an audio
Kind of
podcast.
like what I do with the Faith and More podcast, where it's the audio is uploaded to YouTube as well.
Yeah,
You actually
so
go
I'll
do
probably
video.
need to pick your brain on how you do that easily. uh because I have found that in doing all of this, it is increasing the anxiety and the overwhelm, which is the major hurdle for me to get everything recorded and done.
Yeah, anything I can do to help, let me know. So,
Okay, I appreciate that. So yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah. Yeah, it is a lot. But Logic in the Bible, the Logic in the Bible YouTube channel is up and running, and it's youtube.com/at Logic in the Bible. So that'll get you to the page. There's the page is set up, but I haven't uploaded anything yet except for the cover art and everything. So that's interesting. And then I was talking with Eddie the other day or last night about a possible episode on blasphemy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I thought it was really
From
interesting
whose perspective?
what the Bible says about blasphemy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because
Even
it is
with the
logic
Bible.
in the Bible, right? Well, because what's interesting is there's as I was thinking about it, so Eddie was watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it came up about blasphemy came up, and so he texted me and he asked me like what I thought, and I had to think about it for a second. So I answered it in my head and then went to see what Jesus had to say about it, and we're not very far off. But going into it, I realized that there's a lot more that I have to do some research on the Hebrew and etymology of the words and everything, as I normally do. And so it should be an interesting topic. And maybe I can get some people on to talk about it and their perspectives. So that's something that's kind of been mulling around. Spiritually, I'm doing my gratitudes every day, making sure that I at least pray once a day, if not more, and I'm trying to focus more on my spiritual life, especially since I'm getting back into the podcast. I feel that it's important to be spiritually centered as I'm developing season 2, because
Definitely.
it's just like preaching, right? So if you're not in it, you're not going to be in it.
Yeah.
To pull from
Yeah, it definitely comes through in the
evangelical root.
podcast.
Yeah. So so that's kind of what's been going on. And as I get more into doing the podcast, more study will of course happen, as is the nature of the podcast. So I'm kind of counting on that to get me back into some reading and doing some things that I wanted to do. So
it definitely keeps you on your toes. That's for sure.
It does. It does.
Good.
And I like it because it forces me to be prepared. And so, and I've been having more and more theological conversations very recently. And so it's kind of been bubbling to the forefront. It was on a low simmer. Now it's starting to get to a roaring boil.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I'm trying to keep the momentum. But I do find that there's I have all the time in the world, but the energy isn't always there to get dressed, do my hair, get on camera. Right. So it's just I'm trying to get, and that's part of the mental health stuff, is I'm trying to get motivated through my lack of motivation, right? what is it? It's I'll think of the saying here in a little bit, but yeah. So that's been going on with me, and I don't want to monopolize the times. Thank you.
Did you want to go next, Megan? You want me to go?
You can go next.
Okay.
Are you wait? Are you
Oh.
trying to get everybody else to go in case you have to get off and you can get off the hook?
No, that's not
Okay.
okay.
All right.
It's just that we're giving our ideas as we go first. So
Right,
Yes.
that's it. So yeah, I'm continuing my Kabbalah studies. Just finished Kabbalah 1 master class. Just started the Kabbalah 2 master class. It's just, my gosh, it's so amazing. It's so yummy, stick to your ribs stuff that you just can't get enough of. It really is. I highly recommend it if anyone's ever interested in looking into Kabbalah or studying it. Let me know. I can hook you up with the great place to get the classes through. And it's all online, on demand. It's very easy.
What's your favorite thing about it, Angel?
My favorite thing about it is it's combining. It's combining my Eastern studies and beliefs with the, Western Christian, beliefs, and it's got that beautiful mix of Judaism in it as well. And it is just such a beautiful and amazing system. Because Kabbalah is not a religion. It's a system, and
Right.
if you follow the system, it works with whatever your faith is or whatever your faith isn't. And it's just all about receiving more light from the Creator, whatever you want to call it or label it, and becoming more like the Creator, because we are Creator created us to receive. And the Creator bestows. The Creator is always giving. It never takes. It always gives. But the thing is we, are like a dirty glass with muddy water and whatever else is in it, and it's all the way full. So how can you, if someone comes with a bottle of purified water and tried to pour it into your glass, it's just going to run over. It's not going to get in you. So the thing is with Kabbalah is I hate to use the word purification because a lot of Eastern philosophies and religions just overuse that. It's more of a, you're dumping your garbage, you're cleaning yourself out, so to speak, and you're giving yourself a very good enema, and then you're opening yourself up to more light. And it's not like you have to, like in Eastern ways, believe that you have to completely purify yourself first before you can receive holiness or light. It's as you do it, little by little, every bit of room you clear out, you receive more and more light. And not only that, but the vessel that is you that receives actually gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you're working on that, which means you receive more light and more light. And it helps you, it helps those around you. Then you can share that light with others, whether it be healing or, teaching or just being you, because, just being you will help so many people, with just that light. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, I could go on and on forever with it. And I usually do on the podcast.
Is it fair to say that, it causes you to focus on the journey as opposed to your destinations?
Absolutely. And it brings into, that we've been taught and raised and conditioned that the Creator is way out there, and that you've got to go through, Jesus first to get to God. Then you've got to go through Mary, then Jesus to get to God. Then you got to go through Saint so-and-so, then Mary, then Jesus, then God. This is like, no, the Creator is it's everything, everybody. It's right here. It's not something all the way out there. And it works on you becoming literally best friends with the Creator instead of just seeing it as an outward thing that you can never reach, that's way out there, that you can't, it's, I don't know. It's all bringing that together too, which clicks really well with the Eastern philosophies I've studied as well. So it's just, yeah, I just can't say enough about it. So yeah, I've been doing that. I'm getting into collecting prayer books. So I've got a 1922 Union prayer book.
Oh, nice.
This is a Jewish prayer book. Also, Kabbalists also use Jewish prayer books as well. They're also called Cedars. And I've got the Rav Kook Cedar here, which is another one, if I can get it in there, that I'm using. But yeah, I'm starting to collect prayer books, and not just from any particular faith. I want to get a collection from many faiths and then compare them and see what the correlation is between them, because there is. I mean, in all the faiths, there's all kinds of correlations between them. Everybody's focused on everybody's focused on the differences instead of the similarities. So
we tend to focus on our differences as opposed to what we have in common. And if we just switch our thinking, we can probably do a lot more with each other. So, well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you found something that you're really enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that finding things that you really enjoy really helps, I think.
Well, yeah, and when you open up the Bible now, it's just, when I open up the Bible now and just read a phrase, it has so much deeper meaning now and more understanding than it ever did.
Right.
It's just getting more and more and more. I mean, I just uploaded a podcast this morning on the 4 levels of going deeper into your study of whatever sacred scripture you have, and how there's, like you've always said, Father Mike, there's so many layers to it.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even know them all. I mean, it's only a fraction of what we can experience, and that in and of itself is amazing. But I mean, Jesus did say that the kingdom of God is within you, and he also said, "Do you not know that you are God's?" So it's like
God created us in its image, which is
right, exactly. So I think
it is us,
So yeah, I think finding a way to recognize and fully embody that, I think is important for our spiritual journey and work with others, right? If we take on that perspective of ourselves, then we are better able to see that in others too, right?
Well, like you say all the time, Father Mike, what are you going to do with it? Once you've studied it, once you've done it, what are you going to
know it?
Yeah. I mean, just like, people that, get into the priesthood or ministry. Okay, that's great. But what are you going to do with it now? What are you doing with it? It's just a degree on the wall or a certificate in a frame. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right. Exactly. Study without action is almost pointless.
Fruitless. Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. It's your turn, Megan.
Miss Megan.
Let's see. I'm almost finished with my master Reiki training, so that's something I've got going on right now.
Awesome.
Then when I finish that, I'm going to start on the crystal Reiki. So I was going real all in for a hot minute on it. Life happened and it got put on the back burner. So I'm picking it back up. It's been amazing getting back into it though.
Well, good for you for getting back into it.
Yeah. What is it about Reiki that you enjoy or you connect with?
I guess just the way and the nature of how it heals. Like doing it on myself daily, I can tell the different parts and how it affects me depending on like my mental health and what's going on, what's blocked that day compared to the next. So in a way, it gives me a deeper insight into how I am in the moment as well.
So it becomes kind of a catalyst for your own self-awareness in the
Yeah.
moment. Awesome.
That, and you're connecting with the light as well. That's what Reiki's all about, is you're bringing that light into you and then channeling that light out. That's
Mhm.
awesome. It's awesome.
And I've also converted to now people who would not ever believe in Reiki or like anything in that nature. And I did on both of them, and they are now full believers in
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot more things than they would have been.
Energy healing is real. It really is. I mean,
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, I actually had a conversation with somebody who I had given a massage to years and years and years ago, and he said, "You do when you gave me a massage, like there was just so much energy, and it made me kind of like go nuts." I'm like, I was new then. I control it a little bit better. But yeah, like when I was doing massage, it's about energy transference and using the energy to heal. I tell people it's like, well, my number one goal is first to get you to fall asleep, and then second to be able to do my job. Because it's easier if you're not talking to me. Because what I do is I listen to the body,
mhm.
and I listen to what your muscles are telling me, not where you say your pain is. I mean, that factors into it, but pain is never where you think it is. And that's been scientifically proven. It's
The
like,
big way of intuitive healing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So being able to use energy in that way to help people heal, I think is a great use of the cosmic everything that we have access to. And we don't give it enough credit, right? It involves everything in our life. Everything is energy, right? um it's electrons moving at different rates of speed. So if we learn how to use it, we can also learn how to affect our lives differently and affect the people around us differently.
Definitely.
But if we ignore it, then it's like we are walking through a fog all the time, and we are missing that one little piece that provides the interconnectivity. So I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry, guys. No, I think Reiki is great, Megan. So I think
Definitely.
that's something that definitely continue doing. How does Reiki play into your spiritual practice or belief system?
Well, like a lot of what you were talking about, that energy, um, something Mike has been helping me with my own personal life is dealing with my religious trauma from my childhood and my upbringing. And in doing so, I've had to re-examine and decide for myself what I believe in that aspect. And so I now view my whole spirituality in a different way now. And a lot of it falls back on that energy and how I view God as that energy. So then Reiki is it's an extension of that, of using that energy.
Absolutely.
Advanced prayer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Prayer that you can get an immediate answer from.
Right.
Right. Immediate effect. So yeah, and basically it's what I like about it is that you are more of a vessel, right, and a conduit for that energy, not the energy itself, right? And so you still are allowing God to do all of the work, but you're just kind of focusing it in that moment, which I think is
Yeah,
really
you're God's hands.
yeah,
Really.
exactly.
Yeah.
We are God's hands and feet. So
Yeah.
how are we going to do that, right?
In a way, it's almost like with my job as a therapist, being trained in EMDR, is like anytime I do something, like like really single incident traumas you can clear in one session with the EMDR. And in that moment, it's like, I did nothing. It was the EMDR. It's doing it on its own. I'm just the vessel. So also taking my ego out of it in that moment, because I could very clearly say that was me.
Very good.
Right. Yeah. I if we can share, Megan and I have been working on the death of the ego aspect of our journey together. So and seeing what that actually looks like. I mean, in our discussions, it's been what does it mean for the ego to die? Right. So, and I think that's I mean, Megan, you had your own interpretation of that if you want to share. But my interpretation is that if the ego is going, it's not that you're not going to be happy or proud of the things that you do. It's that you recognize that it's not all you doing it. Right. And you don't have to have such an attachment to whatever it is. And I say this knowing full well in the back of my head that it's ironic and I'm a hypocrite because I allow the stress and the overwhelm to prevent me from doing the things that I want to do. Right. So
you work on being more altruistic.
Right.
Go.
So
Take my heels off, dude.
So yeah, so I think death
Okay,
of the
shut the
ego
door.
is
Shut the door.
important to our journey, and it's
Love
more
you.
just
Bye.
it's not just humility. It's really, I mean, if you look at the Eastern philosophies, it's the dying to the self, right? So that we can it Buddhism
I,
be
me, and
nothing,
mine. Yeah.
right? And I think it's not necessarily the death of the self, but the acceptance of self, right? The
It's more
ego
like
is
a
the false
merging.
mind. Yeah, yeah, and it's merging, and the ego is the controlling false mind that we have to overcome, because that's the one that's trying to tell you all the lies that you can't do things, or
Right.
that,
Yeah. The ego is the humanness, you know, and
yeah,
it's not the godliness.
right.
When you switch
Not to be
gears,
confused with humanity.
yeah, when you
Right.
switch gears, you know, and you see everything as the creator and from the creator, then that puts a big hit to the ego that it's not mine, it's not, you know, it's not, you know, I don't own this, you know, I don't own this person's not mine.
Right.
It takes it to a different level completely, and it's very difficult at first, you know, but once you stay consistent and persistent, you know, that's the key. It's
a
just
practice
keep your foot
and a
on the
process.
gas. Keep your foot on the gas. Don't let off, because
Right.
that voice is always going to be telling you, you know, no, you know, you're doing it wrong. This isn't right. Don't do this. Don't do that. Yeah.
Right. Well, and if we take the word sin literally, sin is just missing the mark, and you're going to miss the mark. Everybody does, right?
And that's how we learn.
Right.
If we were perfect, we wouldn't learn nothing. We wouldn't want to do anything. You know?
Right. Well, and the amazing thing is,
we're here.
If we're trying to change, the source is going to give us as many opportunities as we need to get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Infinite amounts.
Because it wants us to achieve. It wants us to win.
Yeah. I think one of the only thing God wants for us is what we want for ourselves. So if we determine that we want and desire to be something, that's what God is going to give us the opportunities to do and be. And if we haven't killed our ego yet, when we look at that and we see that we're not hitting the mark, we recognize that as failure. And it's not failure. It's just another opportunity to do it again and do it
grow, to evolve. Yeah.
So, oh, you said something earlier and it gave me a really good idea. I forgot it. So yeah, no, I think the universe is an opportunity generator. That's what it does. It gives us constant opportunities to be who we choose to be. in any given moment or situation. So
That's why we're here. Little soul in the sun.
Little soul and sun, exactly. Megan read the CWG too. I turned her onto it. And for
Great
those
stuff.
of you out there, I highly suggest Conversation with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And
It's a life changer.
it is a life changer, and it will upset you, right, Megan?
Oh, I shut my book. I kicked it a few times. Immediately texted Mike like, ah!
Yeah, and then what did I say every single time?
Did you keep reading? No, I just need 5 minutes.
and that's the thing. You just got to keep reading because it explains itself. It's more logical and well said than I could ever be in dealing with those topics. But yeah, but initially there's shock value. It will.
Yeah, there definitely is.
and,
So now just keep reading, get through it.
Just keep reading. And that's what we should be thinking about on our journey, is just keep going, right? We may stumble. It's okay. Just keep walking. And like what I'm telling you about meditation, it's okay for getting distracted every once in a while.
Oh yeah, that's natural.
How do you get back? How do you get back to center?
Just clouds in the sky. Don't focus on it. Don't give them your attention. Let them go. Have one door open and the other door open in the back, front door, back door, just let it go. Walk on through. Just don't serve it tea. That's what Suzuki Roshi always said, is keep the front door and back door open, let the thoughts come through, just don't serve them tea. Don't have them sit down for tea.
Yeah, acknowledge it, don't obsess over it, let it go.
Yeah.
I've never heard that saying before, but that's hilarious because I always tell my clients when we're dealing with their emotions or thoughts, I always tell them, sit down, have a cup of tea with them. I've never heard that, so that's hilarious.
Yeah. I finally remembered what it was. What would the world be like? And this is a question for everybody out in the social verse. What would the world be like if we changed our mindset from ownership, this is my thing, to stewardship, I am just here to care for it for the amount of time that I have, right? These aren't my kids, these are young humans that I'm stewarding and raising, right? This is not my husband or my spouse or my partner, but I am a steward of our relationship. So how would the world change if we changed kind of just a little bit of how we thought on something like that?
Are we builders or are we destroyers?
Mm-hmm.
One or the other. Are you building, you helping, being altruistic, or are you destroying? If you attach, grasp, I, me, mine, that's destroying. It's not good.
Right. And you can recognize that by,
that's so important. Shut the door. Oh.
So yeah, dead air.
They're asking about making eggs. It is almost dinner time. You cannot make an over easy egg. My 9-year-old learned how to make popped eggs, the over easy ones, by himself without popping them. So literally 6 times a day he will ask if he can make them to do that. But no, I think that's so important because I was raised with that ideal of ownership over me by my parents, and so I've tried to do the opposite with my kids of they're in my care right now for this time. And it really is such a difference from those 2 types of parenting even.
No, you're right, Megan, about changing our perspective to stewardship. And it what it does is I think it allows us to give up control, right? I don't have to be in control of this thing or everything because it's not mine to control. It's mine to steward and safeguard. right?
And control we didn't have to begin with.
And we didn't have control to
You
begin
never
with,
have
right?
control.
Yeah, and I have noticed, and I've noticed in the lives of others that the more we try and control something, the more we fail at controlling it,
Right.
right? And just, if it's not yours, let it go. It's right. Don't hold on to something that isn't yours.
Right, because it's that energy that you're bringing into that. When you're trying to hold on to something, you're actually repelling it. You're
Right.
pushing it, you're harming it. You're trying to put it in your box, and it doesn't fit in your box, and you don't have a box to begin with.
Right. Well, and ultimately you're infringing on somebody else's free will.
Right.
And their journey, right? Everybody's allowed to have their own journey.
That's why they're here.
Whether we like what journey they're on or not, it's not our business.
Absolutely.
So, all we can do is accept, support, and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
If someone's on a journey that you don't necessarily like, don't go on that journey with them.
Yep.
You're under no obligation to do so. And I think, and this is kind of just coming to me in the moment, but one of the biggest things about self-awareness and spirituality is learning to stay in your lane. Right. And learning that your free will for yourself is for you. Someone else's free will for themselves is for them. If they want to throw a temper tantrum, let them throw a temper tantrum. If they want to be a certain way, let them. It's their journey. You don't have to involve yourself in their moments, unless you choose to. And if you choose to, know what you're getting yourself into. So, I think that's that's what I was going. Oh, yeah, I was letting go. I was trying to get back to my original point. Letting go and not trying to be in control of everything. And I think that's where I get my personal hangups and overwhelm when it comes to the podcast, because I'm trying to control every single little aspect of what this podcast is supposed to be, and not just allowing it to be.
Yeah, you got to let it breathe
into whatever it is, right?
Let it live. Yeah.
So
that's how, I usually start off with mine with what I'm going to do or what I believe I'm going to do. I pray and meditate before I start the show, and then just connect and let spirit flow and go whatever way it wants to go. And you end up getting some great shows on that.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, you do. But I have a problem letting go. I know other people have problems letting go. As perfect as I come on.
I did as well. I was a major control freak,
Oh yeah.
Make everything fit in my box, Yeah.
Or you force that square peg into your box, right?
Right. Yeah. Beat it until it goes in there.
Beat it until it's in, right? It'll fit eventually.
Yes.
Yep. But what will it be when it does? And that's the scary thing. It's like when you try and force something into your own context or your own frame of thought or belief, then it changes the very nature of what the other thing is. Right. So in the analogy of the square peg in the round hole, if you're just trying to put this square peg in a round hole and you're just hammering it in until it fits, you've changed the entire dynamic of that object.
Absolutely.
And the more we try and control others, the more we try and insert ourselves into the lives of others in unhealthy ways, the more we're changing the dynamic and changing the very nature of sometimes the very people that we're trying to think we're helping. But
that's the number one killer of relationships, trying to change that person to be what I want them to be instead of allowing them to be what they are, Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's it's hard to figure out, because a lot of people don't know who they are. So they're just kind of reactive all the time. Right. And so for someone who's becoming self-aware or in that process of self-awareness, as we're all in the process of self-awareness, like I said, we all trip up, right? we all fall short of the glory of God. But it so it's like, but people who are just starting out in that process, I think are tend to have a bigger issue with, or more difficulty, because again, you can't unknow the things that you know, right? And you think that everybody should know these things, and I know, at least for myself, especially being on the spectrum, I could never understand why something so obvious is so not common. But I have to realize and remind myself, just because it's obvious for me doesn't mean that it's common or obvious for anybody else. Because we live in a world that actively tries to discourage that kind of thinking.
Mm.
Right? So we're combating ourselves, we're combating our society, just to be ourselves. And
that's why it helps to have a teacher or a guide. They can't do the work for you, but they can point you in the right direction and help you and coach you and cheer for you along the way. I mean, just like this group, I mean, this is a great opportunity for us to commune and support and be there for each other. And because we're so diverse, we cover so many, spectrums. It's just, it's awesome, that we can all just relate to each other in different ways and help each other, well, I never thought of it that way, or I never thought of it this way. I didn't see it that way. It's awesome.
Right. Megan, do I give you any answers, or do I ask you more questions?
I think that's the answer. I know, yeah. Megan, I was doing seminary classes with him, so I'm very familiar with Father Mike's tactics.
My teaching style. And I think that's important. It's important to ask more questions. I have always said it's not going to be of any value to you unless you figure it out yourself. I mean, I can point you in a direction. Right. And I can kind of nudge you, but I can't, it's against the rules. I can't tell you the answer right out, because
and the answer may be different for each person, since it's their personal journey,
Right.
All you can do is just point them in the general direction, and
this is what worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, be there for them.
Yeah, I think we as a society and as people in general should start asking more of, what is it you need from me, as opposed to, I can do this for you. Or try this, or blah blah blah. It's like, how would you like me to support you in this aspect of your
right? And also to do it altruistically, is,
right.
Can I help you? And not, I'll help you, but you need to do this for me, or give me that, or
do it my way.
Do this for that, the quid pro quo, no.
Yeah, no, you give without the expectation of receiving.
Right.
And I think in the self-awareness and spiritual enlightenment aspects of our journey, I think learning how to do that, to give and to love without expectation of it ever coming back, is one of the hardest things that we have to learn. And I think that in itself is really the true death of the ego.
Yeah.
Right. Is when you can give freely without ever asking for it, asking or wanting it in return. I told people a long time ago, I don't loan money. I will give you money. And if you're able to, at some point, to give it back, I will appreciate it and accept it. But I can't put it out there to make sure it comes back. Right. And even in the Bible, it says that don't lend money to people.
Right.
It causes problems in our interpersonal relationships. If you have the money to give the money. And that's why they have the Jubilee year, where all debts are forgiven. And people who were slaves because of their debt, they were freed. I mean, it's important to make sure that we continue taking care of people, when people are in need. So
Keep coming from that place of giving. I've said this, I don't know how many times on my show, about the importance of having positive triggers. You know, years and years ago, I don't know if either one of you are old enough to remember the "What Would Jesus Do" bracelets,
oh, yeah.
WWJD bracelets.
It was only the 90s, Angel. Come on.
Well, when you're a fossil,
Those
like
were
me,
so popular.
you know,
like,
and that's what I encourage my listeners to do, is to create your own trigger. There's something that you have on you, whether it be a ring or a bracelet or a necklace or a pendant or something like that, that at any given time you can come into contact with it, even if it's just a pressure point on your hand, just to connect with that pressure point when things are not going well, and to bring your focus back to what would Jesus do? What would insert whatever you believe do? You know,
My higher self, the person who I wish I could be right now.
right? Yeah, you know, and then come from that, come from love, that unconditional love and giving, you know, and not with ego or, you know, anger, rage. You know, the big thing in Kabbalah is anytime you're in a situation, pause first, and then understand what's going on. This is part of my journey. The creator creates everything. The creator's in charge of everything. So surrender to that and then try to see why this is happening to me. This is an opportunity. The creator's presenting this to me for a reason. If I don't get it, if I miss the mark, it's going to come back around again and again and again until I get it, whether it be in this lifetime or next or whatever. That's why our souls are here.
Right.
So, I mean, it helps if we can, you know, pause, take that breath, step back, analyze what's going on, and then respond from a place of giving instead of from ego, which is taking.
Right.
Ego always takes. You know, even if you're loving someone and you're loving them conditionally, what are you doing? You're taking from that person. You know, you're taking what you want. You're taking their energy. And we should never, never be taking anyone's energy. We should be giving.
Giving energy. Yep.
So,
and we have really bad examples of unconditional love in our world, right? So it only makes sense that people would only think to love conditionally, right? Because that's everything they've been taught. That's what they've been really taught by religion and society in general, right? You can have this if you do this. Everything is transactional, right? We have very few things and that are not based on transactions. So love is not a transactional thing. Love is freely given, right? And grace is not a contractual thing. It is freely given. We all get it. We should give it, right? If it's something that we would want for ourselves, why would we not do it for others?
Yeah. Do unto others.
Right? I mean, Jesus had some really cool things that are relevant to say 2,000 years later.
Yeah.
But I mean, but I think people forget about what he actually said because we're so focused on dogma, orthodoxy, and the opinions of other people that have created
our culture is anti that. Very anti that.
And created these systems, right? It's like if Jesus were alive today, he would be probably just as angry at the church today as he was 2,000 years ago, right?
Especially if he went into a Roman Catholic church. Not picking on Roman Catholics, just saying.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was, but maybe it was I think it was not Han who said or somebody, I don't remember who it was. Jesus save me from your followers.
Pick on Han.
Yeah. So it's true. I mean, because we become so confined by our religion and our faith that we forget that there's an entire world outside. we choose our faith. Yeah, we grow up in it, but at some point you have free will, right? You can leave or not, but you're choosing to be where you are regardless. And so, but that doesn't mean that other people have to choose to be where you are.
No.
So,
And even if they did, they still wouldn't be where you are because everybody believes something different. That's why we have so much strife and infighting in churches.
right. And
Because
I addressed that in
they're supposed to
misconceptions.
believe the same thing, but they don't. Everybody's got their own view. Everybody's got their own opinion. Everybody has their own God, you know.
Everybody has their own understanding of God.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. Yeah, and it's I mean, whether you believe God exists or God is energy or God is a big balding man with a long white beard sitting in the clouds somewhere, if that works for you, that's fine if it works for you, because we live in a universe of infinite possibility. So yes, it can be that thing, and it can also not be that thing, right? It can be that thing for you, but it doesn't have to be that thing for somebody else.
Right.
And the sooner we realize that it's not about us, it's about experience and creating the experience in the life that you want to live, and growing into the person that you want to be, that is important. And if you're not doing that, then you're wasting the gift that you've been given here. And that's my opinion.
Absolutely.
With emphasis. And I'll just again reiterate, as perfect as I come off, I recognize and realize that I am not perfect.
No.
I know. And I think I have a podcast episode about it. But no, we are wonderfully and perfectly made according to the Psalm. And that means, to me, my interpretation of that is, it is our imperfections that make us perfect. It makes us unique in an individualized aspect of God. Without our experience and understanding and feelings and emotions, God, as the greater part of us, wouldn't necessarily be able to experience that. So we are, in a sense, experiencing the world for the first time for God.
Right.
What an awesome responsibility and an awesome gift, right? That we could be asked to do this thing so that God could fully recognize who God is, and that we could fully recognize who we are. Sorry, that was just coming through.
Huh?
Sorry. I yield my time, Senator. This is why it usually turns into a podcast, Megan.
Good stuff.
So, no, but and people out there are totally able to disagree with me, and I respect that and understand. A lot of the things I say are very counterculture, I think.
And that's good.
Yeah.
We need
right.
more of that, you know. I always say, you know, how much time do people spend on their spirituality compared to how much time they spend on their phone?
Yeah, right.
And how many years do we live in this human form?
Yeah,
80,
we have a good
90.
90.
If we're lucky. Okay,
Yeah.
How long is this spirit, this soul that's in this body, this vehicle? How long is it going to be around? So what is more important? Not saying to give up on the humanist. No, I'm saying find that medium, find that balance, and start spending more time on your spirituality, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And if you don't know,
psychosocial, spiritual
start
creatures.
and just look and explore. And that's, again, another one of the great things. We got these phones connected to everything. Everything is your fingertips. You know?
Yeah.
Google whatever you want and investigate, learn, grow, evolve. Don't, you know, say, well, I can't do this because of that. I can't. No, go learn. You know,
Megan, what do I tell you about the word can't?
Yeah. Dip your toes into it, see what it's like. You know, you don't have to dive in head first like I do with things. Just dip your toes in it first, you know, see if you like it.
It's
That's the
okay to
thing
dive
is-
in head first, Angel. I mean, when you do it,
Well,
I mean,
I tend to do that, but there's no water in the pool. So I usually end up, you know, landing
well,
on
that's
my
when you get a
head.
network around you that supports you. You don't break your neck.
I've
More
never
of a
been
trust
a
fall.
dipping toe in kind of a person. All in or it's nothing.
All or
Right.
nothing, huh? Oh. Well, then you're in the right group, Megan.
Yeah. No. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't take a break for a minute, but I mean, 2 years. But
Well, life. You've had life going on and quite a
Yeah.
bit, you know? So
Exactly. But then, but at some point, I have to realize that who do I want to be, right? It all comes back to what is the greatest, grandest vision of myself, and what does that person look like,
yeah.
right? And am I living up to that? So I don't have to make you happy or my parents happy or anybody happy. I have to live up to my own expectations of who I believe myself to be. And that's for all of us, right? Everybody else's opinions don't matter. What matters is, are you being the person that you choose to be, and the greatest, grandest vision of that? Whatever
That's
that looks
definitely a wake up call because, you know, our society is just the opposite of that. Everybody's so fixated on what everybody else is.
Mhm.
Again, another reason why the suicide rate is so high is because everybody's just destroyed over what anybody or a group of people say about them, you know?
right. Yeah, well, yeah, and we don't have things in place to show people that there's I don't blame somebody who dies by suicide,
No.
or who attempts suicide. I don't blame them, because we don't live in a world that supports you or makes you even believe that there's hope out there,
Right.
right? It's like, I don't have any hope. Well, yeah, nothing around you has given you any hope.
Right.
So I totally understand. I mean, there is hope, right? There are those things that you're looking for and not receiving.
It's just difficult
But-
to find
but-
it these days.
Yeah. Well, and if you're in the middle of a mental health crisis, it's
Yeah.
almost impossible to find it,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because you don't even know where to look,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
When I was in the deepest parts of my depression and suicidal, and I can talk openly about it now. It was like being in this deep dark hole, and there wasn't even a foothold. And no matter how hard I tried, I kept trying to claw myself out. I couldn't do it, right? And that's why we need interpersonal connections, right? That's why we need to support each other, so that we have opportunities to see hope, right? Because if we don't ever have an opportunity to see something, we don't believe something exists. And that's what I say about trauma too. If for the victim, if all you see is your trauma, there's nothing outside of that. For the perpetrator, if the all the victim sees is the perpetration and not what happened behind it, then there isn't going to be any healing,
Right.
right? Because you're constantly at odds with basically a paradox. I want to be this way, but I can't be this way because all I'm seeing is this, right? So understanding and empathy is important. But of course, it's difficult to have those things when you're in the midst of crisis, right? We forget about the things that are important, and the things we often forget about the things that are most important that will get us through the crisis.
Yeah, the fight or flight kicks in and the adrenaline and
yeah, exactly. So that's why I love the oblets. It's because we are basically setting up a system for support. Whether people out there choose to use that system of support or not is up to them. But at least we're available.
Yep.
Right. And we genuinely care. And we want to walk through this with people. Not tell people how to walk through it.
Amen.
Right. I mean, that's my impression of the obelisk. You
Same here.
You might have your own idea of what it is, but I see it as a great place for support. So on our Facebook group, that's why sometimes I post about my stressors or things that I'm thinking about or things like that. That it doesn't always have to be sunshine and rainbows, because our lives are not always sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
So let's start being honest with ourselves, and honest with each other about what's really going on in our life, because that's the only way we're going to get it out on the table and be able to find the support that we need in the way that we need it. It goes back to that. Let's ask people, what do you need from me? Right. As opposed to do it this way.
Right.
And I hope that we never become an organization that says do it this way.
Oh, we never will.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to be a part of an organization that says do it this way, because it's so limiting. And we are at a time and an age where we need to realize that there are no limits.
Mm-hmm.
And there are limits, but it's the limits that we place on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we are the ones holding ourselves back from the most amazing experience in existence ever, for whatever reason, but we're the ones holding ourselves back. So as the universe constantly gives us opportunity to change, let's take it up every once in a while on that opportunity for change. So again, keep me off my soapbox, Angel. Start talking.
Oh no.
Someone else talk.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir, man. Go.
So, oh yeah, and I know, and I say this for those of you out there who are listening this evening.
Oh, he's doing his podcaster voice.
It's so, I mean, because you're not here in the studio with us, I want you to be able to experience. No, I'm just kidding.
Take a deep breath in
and breathe. Let it go. That should be everybody's mantra.
Pretty little
just
clouds.
let it go.
We're gonna paint a pretty little tree over here.
Right? Oh, Bob Ross. You know, when that is a thing. When I'm feeling really sad and depressed, I put on the Bob Ross channel.
Got to. You cannot be sad with Bob Ross.
Cannot be sad with Bob Ross.
You can't be sad with ukulele music.
No, you can't.
No.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Hawaiian music and Bob Ross. That I think that is, they should find a way to put
There's some medicine right there.
Yeah. And you know, I think people need to start working on music therapy.
Oh yeah.
Right? Finding songs that you like that are uplifting, so that when you start getting into moods, just put on the songs that you like and listen to them until you start feeling better. Because
the newer Christian groups are calling that bathing or soaking, where you make up like a playlist of music that inspires and uplifts you, and you just keep it going. You just bathe or soak in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I've got a whole bunch, like Stephen Halpern. I talk about him on the show all the time. Also getting into studies of lucid dreaming. Music that does that, and it's just
yeah, stuff. I mean, binaural beats and solfeggio tones.
Absolutely,
and like
binaural beats. Yes.
Those, as we were talking about energy earlier, music is energy, right? Music creates vibration. It creates certain frequencies, and that frequency moves through energy. So if we are not going to completely ignore the world around us, the things that make us feel better are things that involve the movement of energy.
Yeah, music is the best way to tune that frequency,
right? And then we can get into a discussion on 432 or 440 megahertz. Yeah. But we won't.
Not this time.
Not this time. But yeah, no, create playlists for yourself. I mean, actively, when you're not in that deep dark place, find things that you enjoy and make a plan for when you do and are in that deep, dark place, right? What we often are doing is failing to prepare for the inevitable.
Be proactive rather than reactive. Have that
Exactly.
plan.
Right. I mean, if we were proactive as opposed to reactive, we wouldn't be having these climate change issues. But now it's too late. So, and we also wouldn't have a lot of the issues that we face in our normal life, right? If I thought about what I needed to do every day, I may not be so overwhelmed with things.
Yeah.
But then I start thinking about it too much and I obsess and my ego takes over. 'Cause I'm not perfect.
Surrender.
Yeah, and we had that conversation about surrender
Yeah.
the other day. I'm like, I don't know what surrender is. And then I wrote an entire book on it in the post. So any of you all can go read that post if you enjoy reading. And for those who know me or don't know me, as a theologian, I don't know how to put a period at the end of a sentence. It's always a semicolon, because there's always more. And then there's always more questions. So you can't
Journey's never done.
Yeah, it is never done. And thank God, right?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of heaven as a respite from the BS that we have to put up with in this earthly dimension, but that's going to get boring.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't want to spend eternity in this place where it's perfect, because then I will learn to not appreciate perfection, right? I need imperfection to appreciate the perfection.
Tibetan Buddhists have all kinds of teachings on those lives in the heavens, and that this human life is the greatest of all forms that you could possibly be in, because it gives you a taste of every dimension, every realm, every world, where you can grow. Because if you, like you said, if you're in that bliss state and everything's perfect, what's there to do?
Yeah. I love
where
ice cream.
They
if
say,
I ate ice cream every day, I'd hate ice cream.
Yeah. Or they say, one day in heaven, according to Tibetan Buddhists, one day in heaven is equal to 1,000 years in our human life. So could you imagine that? If you're up there for 100 years, it's 100,000 years in this life.
No.
How boring would it be to just be in total bliss with nothing going on? I mean, I know we would love to have it for at least 5 minutes, right?
Right. I could handle 100 years of bliss. That's fine.
100
But
years. Yeah, we got to set a limit somewhere.
Right, exactly. But I'm not down for the rest of eternity.
But yeah, this is it, make the most of it.
Yeah. I mean,
and
enjoy it. Learn how to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And as I've said to other people, find the joy in the suck. Yeah. Right. Find something about that crappy situation that you can laugh at.
Yeah.
Because
there's a blessing in every situation.
Ultimately, it's funny because ultimately, on a soul level, it doesn't really matter, because it's only there to benefit you.
Yeah.
And can we start seeing the crappy things as benefits for us? It depends on where you are on your journey.
Yeah. The blessings and the challenges. Yeah.
So. All right, Angel. Do you want to pray us out? I think I prayed last time.
I think you said that last time.
Yeah. I can pray. I'm feeling it.
I can do it. I'm prepared.
Okay. I mean, you've been going through the prayer books, so yeah. I want to give you the opportunity.
Okay. All right. Okay. Megan, did you have anything to add before we close out?
No, my kids all barged in.
That's fine. Sorry, we just.
So I didn't hear the last of that. You're okay.
Father Mike and I just go back and forth and back and forth. And sorry, you didn't get to say too much. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close. Let us pray. O great Creator, bestow peace, goodness, and blessings, life, graciousness, kindness, and mercy upon us and upon all. Bless us, all of us as one, with the light of your countenance. For by the light of your countenance, you gave us the word of life and loving kindness, righteousness, blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May it be favorable in your eyes to bless us at all times and at every moment with your peace. Amen.
Amen. And he does. We just have to accept it.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you everybody for a fun meeting.